there are concerns that you may be a project.
Yes.
Yourself and even Kazma will come to you. But for you, are you one? It's so simple.
You're laughing because you can't answer.
Yeah.
Not because I can't answer. It's because it's ridiculous.
Who's funding
It's completely ridiculous. It is well known that I'm the biggest advocate in this country for public fundraising. In fact, I've earned myself a name as a beggar. People even say, to bebane beggar kwa beggar. Alright? So I've already earned a nickname for advocating for public fundraising. So when somebody asks who funds me, it is them. The one who is asking who funds me is the one who funds me. And I believe that is the future of politics, raising funds from the public. Because otherwise, as long as we allow politicians to steal our public funds and use it in campaign, new leaders will never emerge. And leaders of integrity will never emerge because they'll never be able to compete with that kind of money. And just to make a request to the listeners of Hot 96 and anybody who is watching us today, can you stop asking for money from politicians so that then politics can become cheaper? Because as we are dealing right now, to be president you need about 5 billion to 8 billion. To be governor Nairobi you need about 500 million. To be MP you need about 50 million. Why would a governor go to a position where he is earning 1.5 million shillings in a year? It adds up to maybe about 20 million shillings at maximum with allowances, and in 5 years it adds up to 100 million, but he spent 500 million on campaign. Why? It is because he intends to steal that money. He intends to return the money by stealing and steal more for the next election. So we as Kenyans, we've encouraged corruption, one, by asking for money from politicians. When the youth come to you to ask for your vote or to support them, don't ask them for money. And secondly, support the youth. You don't even have to give them cash. You can give them a car. Or you can tell them, let's go to a petrol station, I fuel for you. Or you can tell them, come, I have a cyber cafe, I'll print for you 100 pieces of a poster. Even a platform like this, to just come and talk about the future of young people and what we think about leadership, is enough support. And that is why I don't see why anybody has to think that you have to be funded. You need it's a problem that we have, and Maliba said it very correctly, that the Gen Zs are repeating the mistake that the millennials did, which was pull each other down. And we are not just seeing it in politics, we're even seeing it in real life. When a youth right now makes money, if you buy a car and you are too young to buy a car by their standards, they say you are wash or they say you are Illuminati if you buy a car at a young age, whereas you as Morara truly bought a car at 22 years without stealing public funds, by just working hard. So there is a self-esteem problem. When a young lady, let's say in a company, gets a promotion to a managerial or mid-managerial level, they say she's sleeping with the boss. So we are self-cannibalizing. We are it's like somebody who has given up on their dreams and wants every other person to give up on their dreams so that they are at the miserable corner together, so that we are miserable
so together. You're telling them you are not a project?
I'm telling them for sure, and let me say it categorically without mincing my words. I have never been a project. I can never be a project. So I'm neither one, nor do I intend to ever be one. Why? Because I have a mind of my own, a future that I see for my peers, for my children, and I serve only the country and God.
Okay.
And that Jubilee Party has 4 cabinet secretaries in government, meaning Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta is perfectly in business with William Ruto. He has a bank called NCBA Bank, whose biggest client is government, and it has recorded the largest profit last year. So his bank is doing business with government. He has 4 ministers inside government, but he is speaking like opposition while in government. And while in opposition, he is offering us a choice for our future, the future that he destroyed. Surely, between me, Morara Kebaso, who is trying to bring the youth together, and Jubilee Party, who and their candidate, who is a project, definitely they are the project of Uhuru Kenyatta, and by extension a project of William Ruto, because there is no difference between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. They are CME twins conjoined at the hip. They are in business partners. They do this thing together. If Kenyans are not careful, let me tell you what Emmanuel Toy is going to happen. If Kenyans are not careful, we've always had elections where we choose between Mwizi A and Mwizi B. We've always had that.
Mwizi wetu.
We've always had an election where we choose between devil 1 and devil 2. Where we go to you go to the ballot box already disappointed. Because you're not going to choose a good leader, you're going to choose the one that is worse than the worst. The one that is less worse. Then when he acquires power, he becomes worse than the worst. That is the option we've always had. Where you go to the ballot, you don't have an option. You either choose between Mwizi A and Mwizi B. And if we are not careful as Kenyans, and this I'm saying even to the youth of Kenya, this is what is going to happen. And I'll tell to you step by step. Around next year, Raila Odinga will leave government. He'll say, I've tried to assist William Ruto, nimeshindwa. I've given him even experts, hawawezi. Huyu asaidiki, he will leave. Then he will do the usual drill that he always does. He'll go around 5 or 6 counties. He'll say he's consulting. He will consult, then he'll come with a 5-point agenda of the things people have told him. I mean, I'm telling you, the script is already there.
You're not a prophet.
We just need to read
Morara.
the script. He'll say he has come with a 5-point agenda. He'll say that 5-point agenda, one of the things the Kenyans have told him is high cost of living. The second thing is justice for all those people being hurt during Mandamano. The third thing is auditing the public death. The fourth thing is the living conditions of Kenyans, that the cost of living is too high. The fifth thing is reforms. And then he'll say this must happen within 30 days. He'll start Mandamano. This opposition will join him. They'll become an opposition together again with Wamunyoro. And we will go to 2027 with Raila as the candidate for the opposition and Ruto as the candidate for government. And the Gen Zs will have to choose between Raila and Ruto if we don't raise an alternative right now.
When you look at the criticism of an alternative voice, largely it's coming from young people. Like I've told you, a lot of those people are actually supporting the status quo. They are either with William Ruto or they are with Wamunyoro, because they do not want anyone else to do anything, but they are not doing anything themselves. You know, I think somewhere in the Bible, the week before Jesus was crucified, he had his disciples talking about calling him Lord. Blessed is him who come in the name of the Lord. And as they said that, the Pharisees asked Jesus to rebuke his disciples. And Jesus told them that if they do not, then even stones will raise up in praise. What is the point here? My point here is so simple. Anyone saying that these two or the three of us, or as many as I've seen people talking about Salasia, myself, Morara and Makore, being people who are out to divide the Gen Z vote. First of all, the Gen Z vote will not be the majority vote. But if you put together the Gen Z vote plus the millennials vote, work is done. Again also, the youth vote does not exist as a vote itself. That is why politicians would rather work with women, group us into our different groups, and then run away with it. So as such, if there is anyone out there who wants to actually bring a third formation and they do good work, I will support them so long as they are running on these two things. Number one, national transformation, and number two, social justice. If anyone outside of the two, because if I look at Wamunyoro and I look at the president, they are one and the same. It's just different sides of the same coin. And we do not want that particular transition. There's something that is happening and people are not seeing. There's a generational handover that is happening. That millennials have come of age now properly. They are the cogs that is actually running the economy. And they should also transition into leadership. But as millennials become Kenyans proper, you know, they used to be the coolest kid on the block. Now they are not, because behind them then are these young people who are actually pushing. But as they do that, we do not want to transition, have a generational handover with the same bad manners that have actually punctuated the former regimes. Where are we now? We are in the third liberation. We have decided deliberately that we will lead that charge. And as we storm into the third republic, as we get into the third liberation, and this third liberation, probably for purposes of illustrating, is that the first liberation was for us to get independence. The Mau Mau, those people of yore came out and fought and gave us independence. That was the first liberation. The second liberation was for us to get good governance. We realized that independence is not enough. We needed good governance. That is embodied in the Constitution 2010. It's a struggle that took 50 years, by the way. The third, and in my opinion, final liberation, is socio-economic empowerment. That it's not enough to be in a free country to have a robust constitution. You need that to actually reflect in the quality of life that you're living.
Okay.
That is what we are pursuing. And where is that? Where do you find that? It is actually in the preamble. You can actually see the lofty promises that are in the preamble.
Yes.
And then in Article 43 of the Constitution, those things that are suggested there, the 8-9 things, affordable housing, food, as in freedom from hunger, living clearly, health, education, social security. Look at Article 43. That is where we are going. By the way, a politician should not promise you anything outside of Article 43. It's there. That is the desire, the dream of where we want to go. But then, you cannot achieve Article 43 if you do not adhere to Article 10, national values and how we lead ourselves. So for us, if you look at the National Alternative Alliance, we call ourselves Article 1043. We want to achieve Article 43, but by way of Article 10. How the Constitution, but then we don't want even to change the Constitution. These are the groups you see, they are looking for new seats, Mara Prime Minister, Mara Cabinet Administrative Secretaries and whatever, so that they can put themselves together. For us, we are not interested in a third center of power. We just want to implement the Constitution as is, because as a generation, we believe the Constitution 2010 was made for us. We want to live it. We want not just to be the architects, but also the people that live in that particular new city.
Okay.
We are.
Okay.
We are like the 7 lepers. You know, for us, we decided that since Dawn is doing these things, we are like the 7 lepers outside the city.
In the Bible.
Yes, in the Bible. If we go back to the city, inside the city is actually Rigiji and William Ruto and his friends and Raila Odinga. But if we go outside there, we have got a few people shouting. These ones that you see on social media who are making noise. They could kill us. But also, if we march properly, they can actually hear a big army coming and they will flee. And the city will be liberated.
Okay.
And the nation will see a new day. That is where we are headed.
Thank you, Maliba.